Hello, and thank you for joining me today on the Political Conversationalist. We're still on systems of government, and today we're going to be talking about capitalism. And just like when we saw socialism, we'll learn that it's less of a system of government and more of a system of economy. One of the most important concepts of capitalism, in fact, capitalism could be boiled down to this one concept, is the free market. Free market means goods and services, their prices are based on supply and demand, as opposed to having bottom limits or top limits set by any organization. That allows a lot of freedom, not only for the businesses and companies that procure and produce those goods and services, but also for the people that use them. So, as we will see in pretty much everything, capitalism isn't good or bad, it's amoral. Of course, Marxist ideology denounces capitalism as the evil that took over the world, but it's immoral. It's amoral, rather. And it's kind of unfair to ask a system whether or not it's good. So a better question would be whether or not it's fair. And capitalism is mostly fair. I would say more fair than socialism, less fair than communism, but communism doesn't exist, truly. So anyway, so one of the best parts about capitalism is something called competition. And competition is when you have two businesses competing for business. If you have, Subway and McDonald's beside each other, and people could choose which one they want to go eat to, a lot of times their choice is going to be affected by the price of the product they're going to buy. And so having different businesses supplying the same people with the same types of products keeps prices low. Not only that, but like cell phone manufacturers like Samsung and Apple. The reason Samsung and Apple keep innovating and trying to make things better and more technologically advanced is to get a leg up on the competition. If Samsung weren't there, iPhone development would have slowed and stopped a long time ago. If BlackBerry never existed, iPhone development would have slowed and stopped a long time ago, and we'd all have iPhone 4 generations that they just kept making more of because they kept selling. But competition has driven the market not only to compete with price, but also to compete with quality. The converse of that, and the bad part about a capitalist society, is something called a monopoly. Now, a monopoly is any time you have a business that has kind of a captive audience. So they have no choice but to use their goods and services. And one of the first ones that came to mind is emergency services. If you call 911 in America, I know it's other numbers in other nations, but if you call 911 in America, an ambulance will come get you and they'll take you to the closest hospital. You are under the mercy of the monopoly of that hospital. If you are bleeding to death from a gunshot wound, you don't have the time to sit there and go, I think I'll go to a different hospital, it'll be cheaper. Or I think I'll go to a different hospital because they'll do a better job. You don't have that option. So you end up using the ambulance services and using the hospital closest to you for the most part. And they have a monopoly over your business. Another thing, and this is a monopoly set up not regionally but set up by laws, is health insurance. For some reason, it's illegal to sell health insurance across state lines. And because of this, in North Carolina, where I live, we have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the only health insurance company that operates in North Carolina. Any other insurance company that seems like it operates in North Carolina is a subsidiary or a derivative of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So they have a complete monopoly over everyone in North Carolina. I don't even know how many millions of people that is. Because the only other alternative is not having health care at all. Another instance could be utilities. When you go to pay your utilities bill, or if you live in the country and you have separate water and power bills, you're paying it regionally. So if you live in the city, you go to the city where you live. I go to the city of Shelby and I pay my utilities bill. I don't have the option to shop around and say, well, I think I'll get my electricity from Grover, South Carolina. Can't do that. They have a monopoly over everyone in the city of Shelby, so they can charge as much as they want per kilowatt hour or per gallon of water. They legally can do that. And one of the worst examples would be the big pharma industry. because drugs can be patented, which most things can, but because drugs can be patented, they have a monopoly over people that use that drug. And for up to 7 years after its invention, in some cases, they don't have to allow anyone to try to produce a generic based on it. So there was a drug called Cyprine that was owned by a company called Valiant, and Valiant Pharmaceuticals decided to make money instead of making the drug better or making new drugs or trying to sell it to more people. And it treated Wilson's disease, which is a buildup of copper in your body that your body can't get rid of. So if you don't have this medicine, copper will build up in your body and kill you. So they took the price of Cyprine, which went from $652 per year, and through the next 5 years it went to $21,000. It's crazy. But anyway, still, despite that, capitalism is probably the most fair system. I wouldn't say that it's completely fair, and I wouldn't say really that it's good, but that it is a necessary freedom. If we have the freedom to choose our representatives, we also have to have the freedom to choose who we do business with. But again, in most cases, it's not completely unbridled. For instance, in America, like, we have the laws that say you can't sell insurance across state lines. That limits capitalism. And then in Denmark, they have all these state-owned companies and state-owned things like the road work and the hospitals and the education. Those are all state-owned. So even though there's a free market, they have a monopoly on those industries. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.